This is the fastest and most effective Town Hall 17 upgrade guide that you will find on YouTube as of right now. With proof and justifications for every single upgrade, we have a lot to cover. This video is going to be extremely helpful because not only is it going to tell you exactly what to upgrade, but it's going to give you a day-by-day upgrade guide as well as a progress base for both maxers and rushers. So regardless of whether you're a rusher or a maxer, this video will tell you the most efficient ways to upgrade your Town Hall 17 base. But first off, we need to talk about some amazing deals. That brings us to this video's sponsor, G2A.com, your personal gateway to adventure. G2A.com is one of the world's largest digital marketplaces, and it has deals on some of the biggest titles, including FC25, Black Myth Wukong, and my personal favorite, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I've personally used this website before, and I can tell you that it's legit and you will get your purchases. And there's a variety of things to get on the site, not just gaming titles. For example, there is a ton of software keys for all of your office needs, as well as some random keys if you want to try your luck in any department. On top of this, they are having exclusive flash deals that are occurring every single day during this holiday season. And I'm not even gonna lie, this Elden Ring deal was way too good. I actually had to cop it myself. Bottom line, you're missing out on your own personal gateway to adventure if you are not checking out this website during the holiday season. So make sure to go ahead and click the link in the description or check out this link on screen right now. And as always, thank you so much G2A.com for sponsoring this video. Back to the upgrade guide, let's go ahead and talk about my guide for players who like to max their base before moving on to the next town hall. First, we have magic items. Usually we want to only use magic items on upgrades that are longer than 12 days. On screen here, we can see all of the upgrades at Town Hall 17 that are 12 days or longer. And to be honest with you, that's pretty much all of the Town Hall 17 upgrades, barring just a few. That is a total of 39 upgrades, which is quite a bit. However, I have a revised version for those who were maxed at Town Hall 16 and then moved on to Town Hall 17. This chart has all the upgrades that were 14 days or longer, and notice that we only have 26 of these upgrades, which is a lot more doable, feasible, realistic, and it also allows you to get the best magic item value that you can. Now for the defensive buildings, we're going to be covering those a little bit later, but let's talk about the offense first. Offensive upgrades need to be prioritized. As long as you do these, you get an immediate spike to your power. In this chart right here, you guys can see the exact upgrades that really need to be done on the first day of Town Hall 17. Below these three buildings, you can see the blacksmith and the pet house. These are just in case in future updates we get brand new levels on these buildings, in which case they would be done on day one because it is crucial to have that offensive power spike. Next up, we have the new buildings. The reason these are our next focus is because it's going to give us a lot of DPS really quickly without having to go through long upgrade times. Because we're merging defenses at Town Hall 17 as well, new buildings actually help to spread out the value in your defense, which is really nice. And on screen right now, you guys can see the chart for the new buildings. Once again, you want to prioritize these buildings after you finish all offensive buildings. We only have a certain level on traps because after a while, those traps start to get really long to upgrade, so we only want the really fast trap DPS that we can get. Also, you don't want to spend too long on them because there are other defensive upgrades that could give you a ton more DPS. Onto the storages, as you can tell, they are in the back of the progress base. They are not a priority for offense or defense. In fact, they are quite useless because not a single upgrade at Town Hall 17 is going to require you to have the max level storage. Because of this, I would hold off upgrading the storages until you have literally nothing else to upgrade. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the upgrade order for your defenses. I already put the defenses in order in this chart right here, which is going to be used for your magic item guide. But as you can see in this chart right here, I also stratified the defenses based on their DPS profile at the new levels. Now, of course, DPS isn't everything, but it gives us a general idea. And for my strategic rushers, this just tells you why we prioritize core defenses even more. They simply give you the best DPS change for the amount of resources and time that you're putting in. Moving on, let's talk about the day-by-day guide. To help us out, I took the data from all of the offensive upgrades, DPS increases, and new buildings to make this guide. And this guide right here is going to allow you to get your upgrades in really fast for the best upgrades early on while still getting use out of your magic items. This chart right here is going to show you the day-by-day guide for Town Hall 17 max players. The idea is to keep your builders busy with buildings that don't take really long to upgrade, so that way you can spend some time to get the magic items necessary necessary for those other upgrades. As you guys can see, this naturally makes traps a priority for manual upgrades simply due to the decreased time that they have, but from this chart right here, you can also see that the traps also give you some decent gain, and this is why we do certain traps before other ones. If you follow this day-by-day guide, you'll actually finish the non-magic item upgrades by about day 100 or so. This is pretty fast, and if you get done with all of those non-magic item upgrades, you can start to do the magic item ones in the order going from top to bottom. But why are we going through this roundabout method? It's just to ensure that we're going to get the best value out of our magic items. Also, in 100 days, we might get further levels for you to grind, so it's just better for you to hold off starting those magic item upgrades early on so that you can find yourself in a better position when the new buildings come out. And as you guys can see from the last row in the chart, I'm going to recommend dedicating a single builder to the minion prince. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the hero upgrade priority. Now, usually I'm not someone who recommends the hero upgrades, especially considering how OP the hero potion is, as well as the opportunity cost of other upgrades. However, since this part of the upgrade guide is for maxers anyways, you are gonna need a lot of magic items to do those other upgrades, so you might as well get started on your heroes right now. And once again, the idea is just to delay you doing those magic item upgrades manually. You can still utilize hero potions if you would like to for the 5 levels on the other heroes, but the 20 levels for the minion prince is going to make a bigger difference in DPS and hit points than the 5 levels for the other heroes. Once your upgrades from chart 6 are done and you're waiting for magic items for those longer upgrades, that would be a really good time to start grinding your hero levels. Finally, we should discuss the lab. In the lab, we're basically getting a new set of air levels for air troops, which is great for air attackers. In this chart, you can see both the DPS and hit point percentage increase for the different levels at Town Hall 17. The giant actually gets the biggest boost at Town Hall 17 for me. However, I think the more significant thing is the dragon rider. Therefore, I would prioritize Hydra and do the upgrades that are in this chart right here as a maxer. Last but not least, we need to talk about supercharged buildings. Now, this is something you want to do after all your buildings are done, even your storages. And from my previous analysis of supercharged buildings, it's quite clear that air defenses are the best upgrades due to the amount of buffs that they get. After that, you can just supercharge in terms of order down this chart. Last but not least, I promised you guys a progress base for Town Hall 17, especially for those who maxed, so this is my maxer's progress base. This base right here I handmade myself, and here is how it works. The bottom row is made up of the amount of upgrades that you're going to do by hand. The middle row is the upgrades that you're going to use your magic items on, and then the row all the way at the left is the buildings that don't have any upgrades currently, and the ones that are the lowest priority if you still have upgrades on them. So that's it for the maxers, but we still need to talk about the strategic rushers, so let's go ahead and cover that now. With the magic items, you're going to use them a little bit differently than the maxers. This is because we're still going to use magic items for upgrades that are 12 days or longer. Because we have tons of upgrades that we're going to be catching up on while we're at Town Hall 17, it's okay for us to wait for magic items for almost all of these upgrades. Whenever you get a magic item, simply go down this list in terms of importance and get them out of the way. Back to our day 1 upgrades, they're going to have the same priority as they did for maxers. However, you want to really make sure that you use magic items to get these upgrades done and out of the way on day 1. For defensive upgrades, anything longer than 12 days is a no-go. You simply want to do those smaller upgrades that you will surely have as a rusher while you're waiting for magic items. Because once again, magic items are the most effective when used on those longer upgrades. One key principle for rushers to remember throughout this process is to always keep your builders busy. This is because right now you're in the catch-up phase, which means you'll always have upgrades to do, and thus your builders should not be free. By the way, the order that you should catch up on your defenses is going to go as follows: the monolith, the multi-archer tower, the ricochet cannon, the scatter shot, inferno, X-bow, air defense, sweepers, Teslas, wizard towers, bomb towers, archer towers, and cannons. For those who are super maximum efficient players, if you have these small upgrades that'll give you a lot of DPS or hit points, you should do those as well, but I'm not going to detail that out, that's more case by case. So then what about your heroes, specifically for rushers? We've been neglecting heroes all the way up to Town Hall 16 simply due to the strength of the hero potion. But now that we're at the final Town Hall level and we can get optimal value out of our magic items, I think it's okay okay for you to have at least one hero upgrading at a time from the hero haul. However, a full video for the new hero upgrade meta will be out soon on the channel. With all of that being said, let's give you guys the day-by-day upgrade guide for rushers. Once again, there is a lot of catching up to do, which is made clear in this chart right here. You basically want to get the new upgrades done and then catch up on as many upgrades as possible while you're waiting for your new magic items. In terms of lab, the priority is still the same as the maxers if you are an air attacker. But the key thing for rushers in the whole series and up until this point right now is to make sure you're upgrading the army that you use the most. This way you do not have to rely on power potions for important battles in war. And of course, as promised, I'm going to give you guys a rusher specific Town Hall 17 progress base as well. On the bottom right are upgrades that you're going to do manually, and you'll notice that the upgrade order for catching up on defenses is already on the bottom right as well. In the middle are all the upgrades that we're going to use magic items on. Notice that some things like the air defenses aren't here, they're on the bottom right side, because most rushers will have to catch up on those before actually using magic items on them. And on the top side are upgrades that you should probably wait to do, or that you've already gotten to max level if you've been following the guide properly so far. When in doubt, just refer to this chart right here and the order on this chart for using magic items in terms of importance. Now this is easily the most comprehensive and thought out Town Hall 17 upgrade guide, and the only one that you're going to need. But if you're not at Town Hall 17, then it really doesn't do much for you. That's why you need to check out this playlist right here with all of my latest upgrade guides for 2025 for all Clash of Clans Town Halls.